Sean!
Hello, everybody. Oh, now you've gone completely quiet, Robin. What have you done, Robin? What have you done? It was working literally just before I hit let's go, and now it's silent. Oh dear. Oh well. This is exactly what people at home come to expect of us. Literally was working just now. What happened? I can't hear a thing. Ah! No, wait again.
Not again.
Yeah. No, gone again.
But now?
Yeah.
That's alright?
Yeah.
Right, okay. I just need to stand here like this with my finger on the USB for 2 hours. Or however long we talk for.
I think you need to have a word with your kids about their USB care.
Yeah, I think I probably do. They need to stop yanking in front of the computer.
Ooh, well, you know, let's not take away a time-honoured tradition here, shall we?
Wasn't in front of a computer in my day.
So hello everyone, we are live again as usual. We're here to talk about Kill Team. No underworlds, because nothing's happening in the worlds of the under these days. It's all about the kills of the teams instead.
Killing Team sounds like a Scandinavian drama.
A whole group of people that go and killing people and then leaving them strewn half across 2 different countries, states, or whatever it is. I don't know.
Exactly. Well, that's a good program. That's a good program.
So we have a few people in tonight. We've got Peppermint Shaw, who was first on to comment. Welcome aboard.
Hey.
They say they like watching our star, so they're looking forward to this. Hopefully we don't disappoint a new joiner to the channel. We've got Mr. Marno. We've got Matt Collins. Throw them dice. Mr. Morph. We've got John Grant in the house as well. We've got Megaloz as well. Excellent Megaloz in that. Drop Bear. Maliki. Dead Hands as well. How is everyone? Dead Hands asks, how are you, Robin?
How am I? Who asked that? Sorry.
Dead Hands.
Oh, I'm not too bad, thank you. Oh, I'm not too bad. Yeah, doing okay. Worried about my mic the whole time. So hopefully I won't kick that. I'm gonna just definitely get cramped tonight. Let's see how we go. Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm melting slightly. I think it's not as hot here as it is in other parts of the country today.
And if anybody is, hearing this constant background buzz or anything, that is my fan, because obviously they like to sit in the corner and cheer.
Had to buy his own fan.
Well, and frankly, it's gonna have to stay on, or else I will just completely melt and die.
I've got the back door open, just here.
You're not tempted to go down to the
I was, and I nearly did. I thought, if I do it, people say, well, I don't think the Mac will be able to handle the stream so well. So
I think the Mac will be fine, because all you're doing is chatting on Discord. You would have been fine.
So I didn't do it. So I think maybe next week. I wanted to check with you first that it was all right. There was time tonight due to child picking up arrangements.
I think
last minute. So.
Bountin's now joined us as well. Maliki has asked, he wants to hear if there's any AOS Vulture love, and Matt's asked the same question. We are talking about Kill Team, but we can quickly talk about the Vulture thing. What do you think about it, Robin? Have you even seen it?
Yes, I have. I avidly read Warhammer Community every day. That's not true, but I do read it. And there were loads of interesting...
again, Robin.
What?
Your finger off the USB thing, haven't you?
Oh no, can you hear me now?
No, still can't hear you. You might have to go back to your headset.
Right. No.
It's a bit in and out.
Get another USB splitter thing in.
Yeah, I think you might have to do that. Can you not just change the audio to use your camera's audio? Your 920's audio?
Yeah.
That might work a bit better.
Just see if this works. Nope.
Maliki's currently painting Cruel Boys. Very nice, very nice.
Now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
There is a USB slot in the keyboard
Oh, okay.
coming out of the keyboard, and I thought actually for some reason I thought something was in it, but it was actually empty. So I don't know why I haven't used that before. So if that's working, then we'll go with that.
I don't know if you're still using the Razor or not, but whatever audio we're getting is.
No, it says I am.
Well,
It says I am. Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah. Right.
So the Vulture.
I actually think it's pretty cool, and I like both the character models on top of it too.
There's two different ones, isn't there?
Yeah. I was. I think it's really, really good.
I quite like it from the point of view that it's a model. The mount is a creature that you recognise as a vulture, so you know that's immediately recognisable. It's not just one of these generic Age of Sigmar beast creature thing combo hybrid things that they all seem to be these days.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was really good. It was in keeping with the Crawl Boys, I thought, and it reminded me of something. Maybe it was a giant orc.
A wyvern,
or a rock. Is it a rock? I mean, what they used to do them on wyverns, didn't they? But yeah, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Really cool.
It's not too over the top, like some of the character model sort of things have been from AOS. It's a nice model. It fits in with the theme of the rest of it. It's got all lots of bits dangling off of it and stuff, which all looks suitably orky.
Yeah.
Quite a fan of that.
Yeah. I mean, I won't be buying it, but I do like it.
There you go. That's what we think of the Orc model. Not bad at all.
Because yesterday they announced that, because they announced loads of cool stuff, because they also announced the new Delac models, which are very
yes.
Well, they didn't announce them. They didn't announce them. They previewed them before,
them.
but they re-announced them. Yeah, they're really tasty. I like those.
Yep.
Looking forward to seeing that stuff, especially as I'm playing Delac in our Necromunda campaign. And wasn't there a Thousand Suns model as well? New one came out yesterday.
Yes, there was a Thousand Suns, I think for 30k, a sorcerer model, which looks alright. I don't mind those; they're quite nice.
I quite like those. If I was going to collect any Chaos Space Marines, it would be Thousand Suns.
I mean, GW as always, they're just doing what they always do at the minute, which is just knocking out tons of awesome models. They all look really nice. I don't remember the last time I saw a model that GW released and I just thought it just looks crap. They might be like the one you mentioned, which is like I'll look at it and go, that's a nice model. I'm not going to buy it, but it's a nice model. But yeah, they just, even for like the ranges for models where I don't like the model, the range as a whole, the army doesn't appeal to me. I still look at the models and think those are really nice models.
Yeah, I didn't like the headcrackers when they announced them, but actually the models are better in the flesh, as it were, than they were in the pictures, I think.
I guess the one thing I'm not a fan of and never will be are the Tau models.
Tau.
Yeah.
I must play Tau and kill team then.
It's just I don't like them. I know they're very mangerish, and I think it's just because they're such a departure from the other sort of GW stock.
Right. Okay. Valentin says he likes the new Sons of Horus model. Maybe that's what I meant.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
Sons of Horus?
No.
I'm sure there's
I don't know. There was something. They announced something yesterday. They did announce a Forge World one today, I think. But there was a model. No, Infernal Masters. No, yeah, introducing Thousand Suns Infernal Masters who forge on Holy Pact with Demonkind. That one. That's the one I'm talking about. Pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
we digress.
Yeah,
I think we will start trying. Sorry?
Go on. No, we do digress. Far from the kill team.
Far from the point. I think we will try and start talking a little bit more about the general releases for GW on our Tuesday night lives. That has been some of the feedback, which is going to say we're going to look through next week, is look at our feedback and see what people have said, and I think it'll be good for us to cover some of the other stuff as well. However, we just need to make sure we time box it, because we could probably easily fill 90 minutes of us just talking about whatever models they've just released.
Are they still doing new Miniature Monday? Is that why they're new Miniature?
Oh, maybe.
That's quite cool. And there's never a shortage of miniatures from GW, is there?
No, I mean, they have so many different game systems as it is, and so many different factions in each game system. They're always spewing something out. I mean, their design teams must be running like full tilt 24/7.
Yeah, or maybe they just employ a lot of people. I have no idea actually. I have no idea what the size of the team is.
Actually, neither do I. Or what a big team would even compromise. Like it's 100 people. Oh, that sounds big. No, it's not really.
No, I don't know. Well, maybe they all have. They've got to be one of the bigger design companies across the world, haven't they? Surely there's nobody. FFG or AMG or whatever, maybe, but
ABC.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, they've got to be big. Well, unless it's all done by ratmen who live under the ground.
Hey, whatever gets the models done. I mean,
exactly, which is why Skaven is such a big thing.
Well, I mean, we haven't had any new Skaven in ages, have we? I mean, the last sort of Skaven model we got was that one holding the rocket launcher bazooka thing, which was a cool model, but at the same time, it's like that was a while ago now.
I thought that we were going to get new Skaven for Dominion, I have to say, and I was completely wrong.
I was hoping.
Go me.
But...
Go me. Yeah, I felt like it feels like it's the time of Skaven.
It should be. But time of Skaven is there all the time.
We must get a game of Soulbound. They pop up. Skaven pop up all the time in the Soulbound pre-written adventures.
Ooh. Yeah. I'm sold.
We must do that. Let's get that done.
So
again.
Yeah. Add it to the list. No. Right, let me just get to the back of the list.
Yeah, we'll put it on. Will happen never.
Yep. Too much do we want to do? Too little time to do it in.
Yeah. Too big a family, or just family.
Family in general, life in general. I mean, even without family, I'd still have work and everything. Yeah.
If you didn't have family, you could just go and work, part time.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Still, one day maybe. One day.
Don't want to wish that time away.
But it'd be nice if it hurried up. So we're here tonight to talk about Kill Team. Give us an emote in the chat to show us how excited you are for Kill Team 2.0 or 4.0 or 5.0, whatever the hell it is that's coming out. People are arguing it's all over the place, and it's one of those things where you think it doesn't really matter what version it is. Well, actually, it's not version 2.8. Yes, it is. Because you know who made it? Games Workshop. They get to call that. They get to decide.
Yeah. I don't know how many iterations of it there are. I don't know what I'm just trying to choose an emote for how excited I am about Kill Team, but I can't find a suitable one really.
Val has given a very unmistakable emote. Just What is Milky Paint's emote? What is that? That's a monkey. Oh, it's a monkey. Okay. Go the Apple route. You could just quit the new Kill Team. Yeah, that's very true. You could do that. It'd just be cool. Matt's actually said.
I want to call.
Go on.
New Kill Team on the block. That's what I want to call it.
Matt's just pointed out it would be called Kill Team 2021 or something like that. I mean, they could just call it Matt Kill Team 21. I think there's going to be no confusing it in the future then.
Very.
Val says he has so far resisted the urge to start any other GW game apart from Underworlds. Interesting.
Well, that's probably wise, Val, to be honest.
Mr. Marlow says he would be interested in Kill Team with the rules with Vixen. Well, that's one of the things we're going to talk about, is the rules and what we know so far and stuff like that. I think it's safe to say that when Kill Team got announced and that video came out, I was already slightly drooling when I saw that.
You were already slightly drooling?
Yes.
When you mean before you started watching it?
Yeah.
No, okay.
I was just like,
just had a particularly tasty lunch or something.
No, I've just woken up. But I mean, by the time I watched that video, it was like, that was cool. That was a cool video.
It was very, very cool. Yeah, and I remember thinking, I mean, really, that was a showcase for Warhammer Plus, wasn't it? I'm like, this is the sort of stuff you're going to get if you subscribe to Warhammer Plus. But it was. I remember I got an email from Games Workshop saying, yeah, we've got this trailer coming out at 6 o'clock. We're not going to tell you what's in it, but you can watch it and do a reaction video. I was thinking, well, I'm nearly 50. I'm not doing a reaction video. But actually, I sat and when I remembered at about 6:15 or something after, I had a quick look at it, and I actually thought, it is worthy of a reaction video because I did actually react.
I was just going to say, I'm imagining a 40-year-old's reaction video just sitting there like going,
yeah, just shouting off camera, hang on.
Yeah. I'll be here in a minute. Oh bloody! How do I rewind this now? I just missed that. What do you do then? It's too dark. It's all going too fast. It's very loud. But it does look amazing. But as somebody said, Andrew, I think the rules. It's going to live or die for me by the rules. Yeah. And there's reason. I often say, I'm cautiously optimistic. There's reasons to be optimistic, but there's also some reasons to be pessimistic, I think. Yeah, I mean, GW have given us a lot of terrible sets of rules in the past, and continue to with the shape of 40k and stuff. But I mean, the original Kill Team was a giant disappointment for us, at least.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I was reading the comments.
I thought you were
trying to work out if Matt was baiting me.
I mean, we're not talking about the measuring tool. Plenty of games use measuring tools. GW in the past have done measuring tools. We're not talking about measuring tools. It works fine.
Yeah. And I was also trying to remember what Dead Zone was, which is Dead Hands plays, and I can't remember what game that is. I've never played it, so. It
is worth also mentioning the video Matt mentioned, which came out today, which is of the Krieg officer using a shovel instead of a chainsaw. That is fucking brilliant. I absolutely loved that when I saw it. It's one of those moments where GW they've just decided to own the meme. They've just decided to go with the fan. You know, I can't even think of the word, but you know, just the whole fan meme that's been created around it. And they've just gone, all right, we're just gonna run with that, and it's great. It's great to see.
Yeah, definitely. John thinks he's going to get rules and make up random kill teams. So where do you want to start breaking this down, Pete? I mean, I'm more excited by the Deathcore models. They're really cool.
By the what models?
The Deathcore pre.
Oh right, okay. Oh yeah, we could talk about the models a bit first if you want.
Yeah, I mean that's all probably my lead into the game.
Fantastic in it. Yeah, I have to say. I don't know if anybody's got them at home, but the Krieg models, the Orc models, the terrain, it all just looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd say the Orcs, the only problem I have with the Orc models is the fact that there's an Orc sniper. Orcs don't do sniping. What's that nonsense about?
Maybe we need to look into this Dead Zone, Pete, and we can do a compare and contrast.
I've never heard of it before now. I thought...
I have heard of it. The Stephen King book, isn't it? You're breaking up on me. Is Pete breaking up on everybody else? It's just me.
We had this problem before, didn't we?
Last week you were doing it. Yeah.
Let me just, whilst people are sitting there and listening...
Valentin says, can you show the models in the stream?
Let me see if I can. Hold on. Let me just... Right, I'm back. We're back in the room.
Mad.
You've always been mad. Let me see if I can bring the models up whilst we chattify about things.
Yeah. Valentin doesn't like the Orcs. They look too human with clothes and hats.
I've always liked it when they've done that though. Whenever they've added that kind of thing onto the Orcs, and given them baseball caps or things like that, I've always loved that kind of thing.
Okay. I would often think of them as frequenting working men's clubs.
Yeah. So here are some of the models. So I've got just the 4 up that they show about, you know, the different types: combat, staunch, marksman, scout. Let's see if I can bring up the whole range of models.
You've got no style, Valentin says.
So here are the orcs that you get in the box. You can see the squig in there. I love the little Gretchen, sort of like with the hook. He's sort of done up a bit like an SAS guy and all that kind of stuff. I mean, all the models just look fantastic. The flamer guy, I just love them all.
Yeah, he almost looks like a profiteer, Thundrix profiteer. That Gretchen. Like you could make a good counts as Thundrix model warband with these models.
You really could. You really could. I mean, I love the orcs with just like the SAS style black hat put on their head and stuff like that. It's all fantastic. I love it. Love it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Krieg models. I mean, what can you say, man? They look absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I do like those. Very much. They're kind of classic Imperial Guard almost, aren't they? But with extra World War One twist.
Yeah, I've always loved the Krieg range. I just could never warrant spending the money on, because they were Forge World only, spending the money on a Krieg army, and then they discontinued the Krieg army in Forge World, and I think we can see why they did that now. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to trying to paint those.
I'm liking the trying to paint those. I'm looking forward to ruining these models.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that the box that you get is going to have different options for the models.
Now you see, that's one of the things I don't like, which perhaps we come on to. I mean, it's nice that the models have different options, but one of the things I love about Underworlds is that you get your models and they're your models, and you haven't got to worry about assembling them and choosing the right things. I don't like the reliance on some GW games, because when you get your game, you want to build it and play it as fast as possible. Because you just do, don't you? You want to get those models, cut them off the sprues and put them together as quickly as you can. But these games where loadouts are important and what you see is what you get is important, there's that. Or I don't like the feeling that I'm going to assemble it and I'm going to assemble the thing that looks really cool because it looks great, but when you try and play it in the game, it's rubbish. And then you try and play somebody and they say, well, you can't have that as a shotgun because you put a power sword on it or something, And that to me is a drawback to this game. I would much rather be told these are the 10 models you can take and these are what they do.
I mean, you might find that that's still the case, that you'll have a base set of loadouts, and it'll be a case of if you get them and you assemble them in this way, and that will be your however this works 1,000 points or whatever it is. I reckon you'll still get that.
Well, it never works out that way, does it? I think that's the other thing. We'll be interested to see GW provide these boxes and then they don't make up the right number of points.
That was rubbish in Kill Team 1. Yeah. That was absolute trash.
Yeah. Warcry was similar, I think.
No, Warcry was okay.
Was it
Warcry, okay? You actually got a full sort of not gang, warband or whatever you want to call it, with the models you got in the box. That was one.
They did have different points values, didn't they? And depending on which ones you did, you locked out. If you were playing strict, what you see is what you get. You locked out certain options, which I find a little bit frustrating when you're building. You tend to be building when you don't know anything about the game. That frustrates me a little bit.
There were a couple of options, especially like the you had the, I can't remember what they're called. They would have been the Warcry version of Goliath. They were the big muscly dudes.
Iron Golems.
That's it. And they had a few. Yeah, they had an option where you can make one model one way or another. I don't think the ones I had, the Beast ones, had that option, so that wasn't so much of a worry. So I'm hoping that these aren't. I'm hoping these are the same, that you don't have quite so much of a decision to make. But I'm just going to go with the rule of cool, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I do go with the rule of cool. Yeah, exactly. That's why you always play rule of cool, not WYSIWYG. Yeah, but I kind of don't like the fact, just generally, that you can, because you want to play with your new toys as soon as you can, and I don't like the idea that you might then just get locked out of something that you then can't have, or you feel that you need to buy another set, which I know is partly why they do it, so that you can buy another set. That's what they want you to do. But,
yeah, could be. I think as well they've said that everything in here is going to be purchasable separately, and I do think that the Death Court models are the beginning of a a bigger army for GW. I think they're going to be rolling out a Death Corp sort of army for 40k, and this is like one of the boxes you can get for it.
Right.
I'm hoping anyway.
Yeah, and I would love, and they're not going to do. I would love them to do specific kill team boxes, but that would mean redesigning all the sprues for all of the armies. So there's no way they're going to do that. But I was looking at having a quick look at the kill teams that I wouldn't mind playing, like Sisters of Battle, for example. And to build one, some of the things are out of stock, and you need like 3 boxes, which are all 30 quid each or something, to have a chance of building a kill team. So that again is a bit of a drawback, and it's kind of into that same trap as Warcry was a bit and Kill Team was, that if you have the models already you can play, and if you don't you're a little bit at a disadvantage. But I can't ever see them doing specific new boxes for all 21 armies.
yeah, I think you're right there. I definitely think that's one of the main drawbacks for this, and I mean it was the main drawback for the original game as well. You just could. It was more a game for people who played 40k to get a quicker game off. One plus side of this is the fact that because the game uses completely different mechanics for everything about it, and is not like 40k, unlike Kill Team, which was like 40k light. It was most of 40k rules. This one is completely separate from that. So maybe they'll start thinking about doing that kind of thing. You never know.
Yeah. Matt says they also have to keep in mind shelf space in the stores. That's true. They do.
That is true. Yeah. Valentin asks how many. Oh, go on.
No, go on. You do it.
Oh, okay. Valentin was asking how many models are there per Kill Team Warband. I suspect this is largely dependent on which type of Warband you pick, or Kill Team you pick.
It's around 10, isn't it? I think. But yeah, if you Space Marines will be less.
Goblins would be like 3 or 4.
Would be more.
Yeah.
Imperial Guard, I'm guessing, probably one of the higher count.
They seem to have about 10.
Yeah.
So the Orcs have 10 as well, but they also have the Bomb Squig and the Gretchen with the grapnel. So
yeah, Andrew doesn't seem to think there's going to be a fair matchup. He clearly knows a bit more than I do, but I've no idea. I'd like to think that they would make it a fair matchup, but you just never know with GW.
But we know that the Krieg have a special rule already that we've seen, hardened by war, which is each time this operative would lose a wound, you roll d6 on 5 or more, that wound isn't lost. So that could make them much tougher.
Is that all of them, or just that specific one?
I think that's the that's just the Krieg veteran, which is what the Kriegs are. You know,
I think that's going to be for all of them. That does make them tougher.
That could make them a lot tougher, depending on how your dice go. Valentin asks, for each warband or each kill team, do you need to buy each warband like for underworlds? I mean, you get the guard and the orcs in the box, but then if you want to have Space Marines or Sisters of Battle or Necrons or whatever, you will have to go and buy boxes to make those.
And that is where it falls down a little bit for me. So for Warcry, they did 6
originally.
Yeah, brand new Chaos Warbands, and you bought those and you could play. Yeah, I think straight out of the box. Sometimes you might need to get the best matchup, the best configuration. You might need 2 boxes, but you could play within the box. But anything else from the Warhammer Age of Sigmar range, they didn't do Warcry boxes for, and you had to buy the bits separately. And because they don't have like a set loadouts, you might have found I needed to buy 2 models from one box, 3 models from another, and 3 models from another box, and so it gets expensive if you haven't already got a collection. So there's always this sort of trade-off between have you your big collection already, or if you're just starting. And if you're just starting, you kind of have to start with the starter sets and then see where you go. But if you only play Kill Team, you could find yourself with a lot of plastic that you don't need.
It depends on the Kill Team as well. Some only have a few options, so you might be able to get away with just buying a box and then getting most of your sort of options out of that box. Like
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, like the Gene Stealer cult and stuff like that, you might get away with just buying one box of those. that might do you okay, but other ones definitely not.
I think the Sisters of Battle only have 3 options, but they're all in 3 different boxes.
Yes.
So yeah.
Necrons have a few. Necrons have 2 or 3, but I think 2 of the options comes from one multi-part kit, and you can make them one of 2 ways. You can literally buy one box and make up multiple different models for them, which makes life a lot easier.
I think I've got a fair few Necrons. Good round.
But there are no cards or anything like that as far as we've seen. Everything's just
no. It's not a card. It's not a card game. It is a skirmish game.
Yeah, and I don't.
There are data cards for the warbands, but so the kill teams in the box come with data cards, which gives you all the stats and everything. But I'm guessing they're not going to do data cards for everything else. That's just going to come in a book, isn't it?
I'm assuming it'll either be a book, or maybe they'll do a card pack that has like various. I think maybe they'll do a card pack for the other teams.
Dead Hand says the eBay single model buying paradigm is quite useful for kill teams. You know what? I very rarely buy stuff from eBay because I'm just never find what I want. Maybe I need to be better.
Just be better. I'm sure that if you're looking for a specific model, you'd be able to find it. I mean, you could still be looking at like a couple of quid per model, so you could still be looking at 20-30 quid for a kill team.
Yeah, well, that isn't too bad because that's probably what a new one would cost if they did it in a box.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Cool. After you.
Valentin then asked how is balancing kill team when they do errata and FAQs. Balance is probably less good than in Underworlds, I would guess. I don't know how. I'm assuming they're going to support this game a little bit better than they have in the past. It isn't always the best supported, so I don't know about Warcry. Perhaps not a fair comparison, but Warcry is a much more narrative game, but I think there isn't necessarily any attempts to balance that as they go along. But they do update the rules and change things if things are greatly unfair.
Yeah.
As VJ says, the bigger Games Workshop gets goes, the less balanced they are. I think you've started at the most balanced position.
Yes.
I think Underworlds is as balanced and as fair as it gets.
Yeah, and whilst we haven't played Kill Team yet, it's probably going to be fair to say that there will be some combinations that will be much more disgustingly efficient than others, and it's not the kind of game. At least right now, it's hard to say whether it's going to be the kind of game that's going to be easy to do at a tournament sort of level that you could consider fairly fair, as it were.
Yeah, it's yeah. I'm going to say the. Sorry, I've lost my thread of what I was going to say.
Lost the plot.
Yeah, go on, carry on.
Red Rose Wargaming, you're in. Hello, Red Rose. Of course, they came up with Kill Team 2's idea way before GW did, because they did that little Warcry with 40k episode, which I quite enjoyed. Maybe GW have ripped you off, Red Rose. Maybe you need to be contacting your lawyers. Scott Hamilton says that they bloated the game with rules. They never released boxes for some of the factions, so the factions were never on an even field when it came to tactics. I'm assuming that's for Kill Team 1. I mean, yeah, there's always probably going to be that kind of risk involved. I think with these kind of games, you're always going to be looking at a bit more of a narrative, cooperative type game. I mean, obviously, you know, you want to win, but I think there's always going to have to be a bit more, can we do this, can't we do this? Is that in range, out of range kind of thing? But that does bring us on to one of the points, which is they've removed range for most weapons.
Oh.
Which is
I think that's a good move. That's a good move.
There's just so many upsides to doing that. I mean, you don't have to worry about, not only can you see the model, but are you in long range, are you in short range, try and get the measuring tape to get through all the terrain and God knows what else. You can just go, I can see him, I can shoot him. Unless you've got a pistol or a flamer, in which case it's time for the ruler.
Yeah. That's a neat change to the game, and quite a departure for GW, I think.
It kind of makes sense though. I mean, I'd be interested to see in regular games of Kill Team, using those tiny boards that they gave you, how often were you actually out of range? And I would expect that the answer would probably most of the time be not very much, and therefore it adds a whole step that isn't needed.
Yeah, I mean, I have found that a little bit in even in Necromunda. Unless your guys have got pistols, they can pretty much always shoot because so the range isn't really needed.
And even
then
with
they have the
pistols,
they have the long range, short range thing, which just does slow things down.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole aspect of shooting now just seems to be so much faster. You don't have a range. The combat or the calculation for damage system is much like Warcry now, in that you roll a number of dice and you have to get over a certain value, 5 or more. In Underworlds they used symbols, but in which amounts to the same thing pretty much. So you shoot a gun, you roll 3 dice, you have to get 5 or more, and for every 5 or more you do 3 damage, for example. And if you roll a 6, that's what's called a critical hit, and that might do more damage or do other special things as well. Your opponent can then roll a number of dice equal to their defense, and they have to get over their save modifier. For every success they get, that reduces that knocks out one of the opponent's dice, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's quite clever the way they've done that. I hope that works well. I quite like the combat as well, where you assign the dice to whether you parry or whether you damage. It's also quite interesting.
Yeah, they've definitely. I mean, with the shooting bit, they've melded Warcry and Underworlds together. They've sort of mushed the two together, so you've got an opposing roll going there, but then there's no rolling to hit, rolling to wound, rolling to save, and all that noise. It's just both you roll. You can work out how many successes there are, and that's the damage.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, with combat, you both roll some dice, and then you take turns deciding what you're going to do, cancelling out opponent's dice or doing damage yourself, to make the whole thing much quicker and more brutal, which I really like.
I really like that, because the biggest problem with the kill team, we didn't play very many games of the old kill team because it got very boring very quickly. It was you had so many dice rolls to roll, and then more often than not, it wouldn't do anything. So you'd roll 4 dice or something. I can't remember how many dice rolls there were, but typical. But there were 3 or 4 dice rolls, and more often than not, it ended in nothing.
Yeah.
So it was really tedious. Very quickly.
Technically, I mean, you would have to roll a hit, then you'd have to roll a wound, then your opponent would have to roll a save, and then you'd have to roll, if you did enough wounds to them, because they'd only have maybe 1 and you do 1 damage, you had to roll to see if that actually caused them a flesh wound or did something else. And then if you've got flesh wounds, you've got to track flesh wounds and work out who's got what flesh wound stuff. It's just hassle. It's just all hassle. This way it's just we both roll some dice and then that's it, done.
Yeah.
And I like the combat system in that it's not I'm going to attack you and roll a whole bunch of dice to hit, to wound, to save, blah blah blah, and then you have to do the same back. It's just we both roll a set of dice and decide what you're going to use those dice for, whether you're going to go all out attack or not.
Yeah, as VJ says, it's very thematic. It's kind of like, well, actually, I'm going to try and defend myself, or I'm actually just going for it. I'm just all out attack.
Exactly.
The only because you assign independently, you can kind of change mid combat almost.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice.
My only possible concern with the combat system is that it might get a bit bogged down if all you do is defend and all your opponent does is attack. You might find that all of your attacks get defended by your opponent and you just both sit there at the end of it. I don't think that's going to happen a lot, but
no, I'm guessing the attacker probably has more defense dice, attack dice than defense dice.
No, you just I completely missed what the stat is for that, and I assume that if you're an orc, you're going to be rolling more dice than your opponent is anyway. So, orcs in close combat will probably be much more dangerous than an Imperial Guardsman, for example.
Yeah.
So shooting and close combat, really like both of those aspects. I think they're going to speed the game up. Of course, we did completely gloss over one of the very first things about Kill Team, which makes it so much more attractive than most of GW's other offerings, and that is very much like Underworlds, is that it's a we go system. We go. I love that in Necromunda. I love it in Underworlds, and I think I'm going to love it in Kill Team as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the only way you can play a skirmish game, really. I think it should be the only way you play.
Yeah, I mean it's 40Ks. I know that Kill Team went into a WeGo after the movement phase, which was bizarre. It was like I'm going to move all mine, and then you move all yours. and then we're going to alternate shootings. Like, why not alternate the whole thing from the start, you mentalists?
Scott says I think it was 4 or 5 dice for attacking and 2 or 3 dice for defending, which is the impression I got too. So if you're attacking and your opponent just defends, you will
probably
wear
clobber
them
them
down.
quick.
So I think there's probably something to be said for not defending, just so you can do damage to the attacker.
Although it wasn't clear to me when I was looking through it whether I assume that the way it'll work is if I charge you with my fighter, I'll do my attacks and you'll do your defense dice, but then on your turn you can activate your fighter and you can do your attacks and I can do my defense dice, and then so there'll effectively be 2 rounds of sort of fighting between the 2 fighters.
I'm not sure that's how I interpreted it. I thought it was you both rolled your dice and you assigned them. So I'm either going to parry, or I'm going to attack you.
Yes, that's what I thought. But if I charge you and I'm activating my fighter, you would roll your dice and I would roll mine, and we do our attacks and parries and whatnot. And then when you activate your fighter in that combat, we would go through that process again.
But okay. So yes, but with the other person being the attacker, presumably.
Yes, with you then being the attacker and me being the defender. Yes.
So I misunderstood you.
So close combat effectively is going to happen sort of. Often it might happen twice, where one person gets charged, you do your attacks, and if they survive, they'll do their attacks. In those situations, you'll effectively have 2 rounds of fighting, which will make them shorter and bloodier, I think.
You go, I go is a bit of an aging mechanic in wargaming in general, to be honest. VJ says, I hope you're not suggesting that things should change, VJ.
I've thought for quite a while now, and I kind of didn't really think about Underworlds being an I go, you go system. Sorry, about Underworlds being a we go system. It wasn't really until we played that game of Star Wars, I can't remember what it's called now.
Legion.
It wasn't until we played that I really thought, actually, we go systems are so much better than I go, you go systems. GW have grown up on that.
But they're as likely to change that as they are likely to change their paint pots.
That's true.
The 40k anyway.
Red Rose said the initiative mechanic in Reign of Hell was an interesting one. You roll a d12 for each model and then go in order. I kind of like the idea of the randomness of that, but having to roll those dice for all the models would just piss me off very quickly. I
don't know how many models there are, and it's like rolling for initiative in D&D. That's quite good fun when you first start playing. But after about an hour, or 2 hours, and 3 years, it's just really tedious.
Didn't we end up just house rolling it? It was like, we're going to roll at the start and that's it. We're just keeping that order and fuck it, we don't care after that.
VJ says it wouldn't dare suggest things change for fear of crying salty neckbeards. Well, exactly. That's where I was. That's what I was driving at. And the range ruler.
GW have already rocked the boat considerably with a range ruler of all things. My God. So
Infinity is the best system he's come across with regards to turn system. Says throw them dice. I haven't played Infinity. And that's what I was going to kind of. VJ was asking Red Rose whether the Reign in Hell is Reign in Hell the one that's made by the tabletop.
Yeah, Minions. At Unplatinum and I can't remember the other guy's name.
Some other geezer.
Vince Venturello, isn't it? Vince Venturello.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that looks quite interesting.
It looks like a very simple system, and uses all the models you already have, which is always nice. Assuming you have, demon models to hand.
Yeah, which I don't.
That game is not for you, Robin.
I think we do need to talk about the range ruler a little bit.
Okay.
Because ignore that there is one thing that worries me, and that is, as we know, GW's attention to detail on rules can be a little bit iffy.
Yeah, that's true.
And the fact that they had presumably their top designers working on that movement gauge thing. Why the hell did they choose that? I don't care that they chose the shapes, I don't care that there's a movement gauge, that's all fine. But why did they choose those shapes? Why, in particular, why did they choose a pentagon to be 6 inches?
Yeah, there is that.
Literally, unless somebody thought, let's see how much we can trigger the 40k community by putting this. That's the only reason I can see for doing it, because I cannot and this is what worries me, if that slipped through and nobody thought, why don't you just use a hexagon? What else is there in those rules that hasn't been sort of looked at and thought about? That's the only thing that worries me about the movement gauge.
one thing I'm interested to see is obviously we know that the movement can be broken down into 3 2-inch sort of sections, and people are going, oh, why don't I just use a 6-inch ruler then? Well, actually, it's not necessarily easier to use a 6-inch ruler than it is to use a 2-inch section, which is actually on the longer end, so that you can easier reach the models. One thing I'm interested to see though is if that's the ruler, and you get the model and you put the model that's the model there. Do you measure it where you put the ruler up to it, and you move the model over to that side, and then you measure from there onwards? So you end up sort of gaining that width of a base between the 2-inch movements, because that would make much easier sense, right? You would just put it down, move the model, put it down, move the model, or is it just that would make more sense. But if they make it like you have to measure out like a 2-inch, and then you have to measure from where it was the previous time, and it's like, but now I've got to try and work it, just more faffy. It just would make more sense to me to move the model. I don't know, that's the only thing I'm worried about.
My other concern is that the range ruler itself looks a little bit cumbersome for using a battlefield terrain cluttered area. But
I think it looks quite good.
It's kind of trapezoid, isn't it? I just feel like when if you've got scatter terrain and stuff, it's going to get in the way. But we'll see.
Yeah, most of the time they tend to be like that, though, don't they? Trapezoid sort of thing.
I'm only really thinking of the Legion ones, which have they're kind of straight, aren't they? They have the bend in them.
Yeah, true.
So to speak.
What they need to do.
I really like those. I think they're really clever, the Legion ones.
What they should do.
They're hinged. So you can move from one end of it to the other, but they're hinged, so you don't go as far if you go round the corner.
No, it's true. What I'd like is to get like not range rulers, but the various ranges that you need, which is like 1-inch, 2-inch, 3-inch, and 6-inch or whatever. Have them on like 2 like long pegs. So you'd have like 2 pegs and then the bit in the middle, so that you could actually just put them down, and you wouldn't have to worry about the terrain getting in the way, if that makes sense. I probably described that really badly, but
like calipers.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay, that would be cool. That would totally appeal to the old school wargaming.
Yeah, because then you could just like, I'm going to go ding, 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 and that's where I'm going to go, and you wouldn't have to worry about.
The whole thing should be on a flat world map with slidey sticks, really.
With the long sticks to just push things around.
Yeah. I'm going to move my one over here.
Oh, I've just knocked all the fucking terrain over. That would make it a bit easier to measure between when there's intervening terrain and stuff like that in the way. So,
gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Yeah, pretty much that. So we've covered the shooting aspect of things. I like we've covered the combat side of it, the range ruler. I like the fact that they've taken aspects of Warcry and Underworlds that work. In some cases they've combined them a bit to make them a bit more entertaining and to keep both parties involved in the whole game. You're not just sitting there for 45 minutes waiting for your opponent to do everything. And I like the fact that they're not taking stuff that people have expressed in the past they weren't massive fans of, a bit like the Warcry random setup. I don't think there's anything like that in this.
No. And I'm interested to see. Yeah, they don't seem to have that. I'm interested to see how the narrative stuff works. They very much, reading through the stuff again tonight, very much seem to suggest there's this, because it dovetails with the big ongoing campaign in 40k, doesn't it? The Octarius stuff. Yep. And it kind of implies there's going to be this specific campaign for the two armies in the box. Which I assume you must be able to bring other armies in too. But that's quite nice if you are a beginner and you can get the box or you can get the starter sets and you can just play them. When I say starter sets, I mean I know this box is limited, and but you will later be able to pick up the warbands and the book separately. Be interested to see how much they do charge for the movement gauge separately. When I put my video up, somebody did comment that if you don't buy the box, you won't get the movement gauge, which I hadn't thought about.
They'll release them separately, won't they?
No, so you want exactly, but then they're having to pay for one of those does seem a bit cheeky. But if something's in the box, you're not really paying for it, are you? But
True, but you can just use. You can just use.
you can just use tape measure. Yeah.
Tape measure.
Yeah.
Throwing Dice is asking, what does the gauge look like? Let me see if I can find it and put it up on the screen. Because they did a thing about the movement system for.
It doesn't have knobs, I don't think. Throwing dice. Yeah. But I would like, because I think certainly from our perspective, playing a whole narrative, if it's well done, would be quite interesting. Of just playing, developing the teams in the game without feeling like you to add variety, you've got to keep changing the warband. Because I don't think we can afford either time or monetarily to get deep into Kill Team. But it would be nice if they did bring out campaign boxes that you could get and get a whole Kill Team.
I mean, we did quickly run through what forces we thought we could field, and we had orcs, we had guard, we had Eldar or Eldari or whatever you want to call it. I got Death Guard.
I gave my Skitarii away.
Did you?
Yeah, somebody I know was getting into it and they wanted to play those. I said, I've got a box just sitting at home doing nothing. You can have that was cursing. I was cursed by generosity.
There was Gene Stealer Cult. Well, didn't we have some Gene Stealer Cult models?
Yeah, I've got some.
And there's Nids as well. I'm sure I've got some Nids sitting around somewhere. We might have enough Necrons knocking around. I mean, we might be able to get 4 or 5, or 6 possibly. I think I might have some Grey Knights as well. So, I mean, we might be able to come up with quite a few different factions without trying too hard.
Well, we are tryhards though, I'm not sure.
We are tryhards. I've got Demons and Nurgle. I've got those as well.
Have you found that range reader yet? I'm sitting
Yes.
there waiting for you to find the range reader.
Yes, here you go. So I'm gonna pop this up now. There you go. That's what the range ruler looks like. So
I'm quite far behind tonight. It's still not up on my screen.
So that's what it looks like. You've got the 5-sided shape to denote the 6-inch ruler. Why is it why is it 5 sides?
Yeah.
And then you've got the other one to denote the circle, the square, and the triangle. Again, people are saying circle. Why didn't you use that for the 1 inch? But I guess technically a circle doesn't have any sides. So no, technically a side has to be a straight edge. I think. So in early
I don't
years,
know my topographical stuff. But
in earlier school,
like
they teach like it's got one side, it's one continuous side. But in later years, they sort of go to the whole. Is it one side or is it an infinite number of tiny straight edges all together? Like it's a fucking straight line, all right? Or rather, it's not a straight line. It's just one circle line. It's just one line. So that's what the range ruler looks like. I like the fact that it goes together. You've got the two sides, the two different halves sort of go together.
Yeah, it's quite cool. Oh, that confuses me slightly. It was okay.
And so that's it. I mean, to be fair, you don't really need the 6-inch ruler. Everyone's probably got at least one 6-inch ruler lying around at home, especially anyone with kids. Steal one from the kids' pencil cases, but there's,
Never around when you got homework time though.
No, never, ever.
Good to see Games Workshop as good as removing sprue things as I am on that 6-inch ruler.
Yeah, that was pretty poor, wasn't it?
Scott Hamilton says we still haven't heard about how to build a kill team. No, we haven't yet.
That is true.
We haven't yet.
They have showed on the website, as he mentioned, they've showed all the different factions. There are quite a few, enough for most people, I feel. But there are no details as yet on how you build a kill team. So that will be one thing that will be interesting to see.
Yeah, they're quite limited in the models you can take, which I think is good, or something.
Yeah, some of them only have like 3 options.
Yeah, that's a good thing. But I'm intrigued to know how they build them. I just hope, because they talk, and this is again one of the, I've sort of said this already, but they talk in one of the articles about great levels of customizability. But that for me is where games break down a little bit, because I don't have the time or indeed the inclination to spend ages working out this ultra customizability. I can't afford it. Johnny Average is my team captain, and just to pick sort of a typical loadout. I don't want that to be easy.
Yeah.
and not seriously complicated.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same with that approach, but then I'm going to probably, if we do get a box, if we do decide we want to go with this and we do want to build other stuff, I'm just going to go with the rule of cool, and I'm not going to try and think tactically about it at all. Pretty much my approach.
But even that can be tricky if it's loads of customization, because then you've got to work out. Okay, yeah, it's really cool to have a web flamer, but how many points is that? And do you know what I mean? It isn't as straightforward as just saying, right, bosh, here's your kill team.
I'm hoping it's going to be a lot like Warcry in that respect, in that you have like 2 or 3 different fighter types, and they'll have 1 or 2 different weapon loadouts, and that's it. That's your choice.
Yeah, they did kind of suggest it would be that way though, because there are keywords, aren't there?
Yeah.
And there are fighter types. There are 4 fighter types.
There were 4 fighter types. I can show those on the screen now for everybody at home to see. Here are the 4 fighter types. You've got combat.
Sorry, Mark Reynolds is in. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Mark. You've got combat, staunch, marksman, and scout. I assume they all have some slightly different abilities, or those will give them access to different skill trees or things like that. So
you can get those things as the narrative continues as well. They said.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I'm still annoyed by the fact that they've used an orc model to denote marksman. I mean, that's just not what orcs do, although he does have more bullets across his back than anyone has any right to, so maybe it's an automatic.
I don't say he's a very good marksman. Just as a marksman.
That's
it's all relative. Orc marksman isn't necessarily good.
That's true. Just means he shoots more bullets than the other orc.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely liking the idea that in some cases there's a possibility that you might be able to come up with a kill team with possibly not many models required. I mean, like the Gene Stealer cult, you can have like 3 different types. There's a neophyte hybrid, an acolyte hybrid, and the hybrid metamorph things. You might be able to get a whole kill team from 2 boxes and use a lot of the models, so it'd be interesting to see. I was a bit disappointed there weren't some particular factions out there, but at the same time there's 21, so that is probably plenty to give you enough.
That's a lot of factions.
It's enough to give you those options to start with. I do still think there's some odd choices or some odd omissions as to why they have certain things and not other things in a kill team. Like they don't have, the Eldari don't have, at least in the range that they show on the website, the Eldari don't have striking scorpions, which are supposedly like one of the main experts of, skirmish, scouting ahead kind of warfare. Like you haven't given them that. They do have the rangers, like the snipers, which makes sense, but yeah.
Maybe
Ed asks where what? What do you want me to wear, Ed?
I think it's Jason Newell. He's here.
Oh, I see.
There you are.
There are Grey Knight teams. That reminds me of another thing that I quite like the idea of in this game, in that everybody has a pool of action points. So people can take only a certain number of actions. A bit like Warcry, but certain fighters will end up being able to take more because there'll be less fighters. So Space Marines, for example, might be able to do more things rather than...
So it'll be like move, fight, move, or move, fight, fight. But most things are just move, fight.
Yeah, or there might be... some of them might have special... They did mention that some fights will have their own special activities or special rules where they'll be able to do things.
Well, there's comms people as well, aren't there, which is quite cool.
Yeah,
and they can give bonuses, and all that kind of thing is very thematic, and I hope it's simple. If the things are missions like get the explosives team to point X and blow up the stuff, that's quite cool. If all the mechanics that support that are simple.
Yeah.
I
mean, the rule the description of that rule that you just mentioned about select one friendly guardsman, veteran guardsman, within 6 inches of visible, within 6 inches of and visible to this operative. They've decided to call them all operatives. You can add 1 to its APL, which is quite funky. So it's just like it's a small things to just help boost your other fights.
Yeah, it's actual panty line.
Yeah. We haven't seen any others as yet, but yeah, that's one of them. I do really like that idea of not massive game breaking kind of changes, but just little thematic things to really help you without having to wade through 100 rules, a bit like when Necromunda. I mean, I love playing Necromunda, but bloody hell, you can end up, unless you do the groundwork like I've done, and cut and paste all of the separate rules and stuff that you need into a one-page reference sheet, you can spend ages looking them up.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're just getting back into Necromunda, but I can almost see that if this game is very playable, I could almost see giving up. Necromunda to play this.
It would be close, wouldn't it? It would be very close.
A little bit. We may struggle to find time to play both. What I think they should do, really, and people would get very upset about it law-wise, I'm sure, but they should do somebody should do. I'm sure somebody will do a Necromunda conversion, so you can just play with the kill team rules with your Necromunda models.
I mean, to be honest, a lot of it you probably wouldn't need to. I guess converting the fighters wouldn't be that hard. It would be just getting rid of swathes of the special rules for things. Yeah.
It'd be quite an interesting exercise, I think. Well, I wouldn't do it, but it would be quite an interesting exercise. But I think it would be nice to then, you could even then pitch, like they did with Warcry. Like if you see Necromunda as the core Warcry set of the Chaos Warbands, and then you could pitch in other things that go down into the Hive for some other random reason. There's no reason why you couldn't connect the two games.
Red Rose has already come up with a name for it. Killermunda. There we go.
Killermunda. I'm still waiting for Wondermunda. Which is the Warhammer Underworld Necromunda hybrid.
I mean, I like that they've decided to go with the template for the movement on this. I'm still half a little annoyed that they didn't go with hexes. It's like hexes would have done the job. You wouldn't have needed a template at all, most of it, especially as they've removed long range on weapons.
Yeah, I suppose the reason they don't want to go with hexes is because if you're a player who likes to build their own board, then hexes is a bitch.
Yeah, there is that.
You kind of got to use the board then, haven't you?
Yeah.
So.
And as Ed points out, surely it would have to be pentagons and not hexes.
We played a sphere, pentagons and hexagons. Buckminster Fullerene.
So
brilliant.
I mean, yeah. I don't think I've seen anything in Kill Team as yet, and people can shout out in the comments if there's anything they've seen they don't like as yet. I haven't seen
hexagons and pentagons.
Well, apart from that, I haven't really seen anything with regards to the game design that they've come up with so far that makes me think, oh god, they've done that.
No, time will tell. I don't know. It's all gonna. But I find that with GW games, when they break down the rules, they sound really cool. But when you sit down and actually try and play the game, it doesn't gel. But fingers crossed that it does, because Underworlds totally did gel, and even Warcry did to an extent. But I think for Warcry, it really was just the sheer deluge of stuff that they made for the game. I didn't feel I could keep up. I feel like maybe I've learnt my lesson a little bit from that, which actually it doesn't matter whether we keep up and we can just play with what we like. And I think I felt like because we were content providers, we had to kind of keep on top of the game and have all the new stuff. Otherwise, we weren't relevant. But I think actually we're not relevant anyway. So we'll just play with what we like.
I think that is a big thing. I think with Underworld, you kind of have to keep up to date a little bit because you want the cards. So you have to buy the warbands as they come out. But I think with anything else, if we did pick this up, or like we did with like we tried with Warcry and Kill Team before it, if they start releasing tons and tons more stuff, just go at our own pace and do what we want. If we're enjoying it, then we'll just release our content for it.
Yeah. Mark Reynolds got a great breakdown here. His breakdown is turn sequence from Necromunda, activation points from Betrayal at Calth, attack and defence from Underworlds and Curse City. It's a pretty good. Good breakdown.
Never played Curse. Yeah, I never played Curse City, but it is definitely very much like Underworld's Warcry, the attacks, defence sort of sequence.
Yeah.
Someone did mention further back up that as this is sort of like a bit more of a gateway game, a simplified game to encourage people into 40k rather than just being a cut down version of 40k, maybe we might see sort of kill team boxes and stuff to try and encourage people to buy into different warbands, which would be nice, but I
really would hope so. I'd like to see that, but whether we will or not.
given I think that one of the kill teams, which I think is just general sort of traitor space marines, has traitor space marines and cultists, and I'm not even sure you can buy the cultist models anymore on Games Workshop's website.
Right.
Although
out for it though.
Sorry.
I feel like the game. I think was it Red Rose who said it. I feel like the game is crying out for those sort of boxes because,
Definitely.
and if they made them with the same quality as they make the underworlds models, they would get people who just play the other games buying them as well.
Yeah.
And just fit them into their games. Because so I definitely think there's the model there. It's just like Matt says, whether they feel like they've got space and the ability to sell them all. I guess I don't know how these decisions are made.
I mean, one of the things you could do though with the Chaos one for the Traitor Marines, you just need to buy a box of Traitor Marines, and then you could use either the Traitor Guardsmen from Blackstone Fortress, or they now sell the cultists. They now sell the cultists of the Abyss separately in Blackstone Fortress on Games Workshop's website for 15 quid. So you could very easily, very easily make that. I mean, you've already got the space
marines in that box as well.
Sorry.
There's some Blackstone Fortress has some Traitor Marines as well.
There you go. We've got another kill team already made,
and they're all painted. Yeah.
This game was made for us, Robin. We've got like a dozen different kill teams already set up for it.
Yeah, I thought I'd say I wanted to say it now. It's gone.
Oh.
Traitor Marine. Sorry.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Jason Newer says they are GW. The chance of them sticking the landing is not likely. That is the big problem with GW. They come up with this thing, they sell it off, and it looks fantastic, and they've got us all moistening just at the thought of it, and then they suddenly do something like Curse City, where they release it and go, Curse City, don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we never said that was going to be around.
Yeah, and you just let it go. Why are you like this?
I remember what I was going to say.
Go for it.
They hinted in the live stream for the original Kill Team live stream that this Octarius is because it's got the orc scenery, hasn't it? And it's going to be a narrative. It's going to have a narrative campaign in it that you can play, and then there are going to be other episodes of Kill Team. So I wonder if that's how they're going to release Kill Team factions. So basically, 6 months down the line, there'll be a new non-Arius version,
other areas,
deck areas. Deck areas and so on, and they will
just release 2 new warbands or something.
When you buy that box, you get 2 new warbands, and then they release those 2 new warbands. So I wonder if they'll do it that way. And then, each one has a little narrative that goes with it. That would be pretty cool if they did that way. If the narrative was good, because I have to say some of GW's narrative stuff isn't great. But then I think I've said with Warcry, because the Warcry stuff is a bit ropey. The people who want to make that work go off and build their own brilliant narrative systems. The people who don't care just use it, or even don't use it, just play the game. And I almost think it's a lot of effort for not much gain for them to build a brilliant narrative system. So I don't know how great the narrative will be, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm hoping that even if the narrative isn't that great, we could possibly, if we decide to get into it, we could craft something ourselves. And I mean, to be honest, we probably wouldn't get a chance to use it very much. Because if we've listed off at least 8 or 9 different kill teams we could easily bring to the table very quickly now.
I suppose so. I was thinking I'd be more like, if the Krieg versus Orc narrative was interesting, I'd be more likely to play that from beginning to end.
Yeah. Depends on what it's like. We could definitely do that as a starter, if nothing else, and then we could maybe bring in other kill teams to say, a rogue group of Eldari, or some random chaos demons have appeared or something like that, and then have like side games. Sorry?
A crabfish and a chaos hound turn up.
That kind of thing, basically.
Yeah.
So, I think out of the 21, we could possibly field a good like 6 to 9 of them. I think already.
69.
Ooh. So does anybody have any questions about the game? Any sort of hopes or fears, or we can try and make up answers for it. Or anything that they've noticed in any of the spiel or text that GW has released that makes you think of something in particular, or anything you just really like the look of that you've seen to start with or not. I still like the orange and grey sort of motif they've gone with, and the data cards they hinted at the very start and in the live sort of stream of it all. I really like the fit of the data cards and stuff like that, and I hope that they produce those for each of the kill teams because they look quite nice and simple.
Yeah, I'm not sure they will. They might print them in the book. Isn't there going to be a separate book for the other kill teams?
There might be.
I think they did say they would be, and I assume they'll have the book cards in them. But whether they won't, I don't think they'll do sets. If they do sets, they'll print like 7 copies and they'll sell out within 10 seconds. So
very likely. I did notice. I was quite interested in how it's going to work with the fact that, like the fighter cards, for want of a better word, they have like the key words at the bottom, like Veteran Guardsman, Imperium, Astra Militarum, Regiment, Trooper Veteran. I wonder if there's going to be a way to sort of like combine some of the kill teams, like have Marines and Guard in the same team or something like that.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. Maybe with big narrative things, rather than because the big games as well.
Yeah. Mark says he likes the smaller profiles. They're a huge step forward. He'd like to see them in or a variant of 40k. I mean, anything that reduces the number of lookups and things like that is just always a win in my book. I get rid of the range. It's an interesting one.
It's an interesting. Games Workshop do have an interesting problem to try and solve, in the sense that they have this game that is beloved, Warhammer 40k, and beloved by a lot of people. All of them get very stressed when they change stuff, but actually the kind of, we haven't really played that much for any of its iterations, but it hasn't changed that much in however long it's been around, 40,000 years. And
I think 8th edition was probably the first big change where they changed things, like they got rid of vehicle profiles and they just made everything strength versus toughness, and vehicles had loads of wounds rather than damage charts and things like that.
Yeah, but the mechanics of the game itself are still kind of the same, aren't they? And they Mark's absolutely right. They kind of do need to slim it down. Probably I know people love rolling lots of dice. Probably reduce the number of dice rolls required, even not a volume of dice, just the sheer number that are actually needed to get process from shooting to and fighting to something being taken off the board. But there'll be huge resistance to change on that. But if the game doesn't get better, then will it die off? I don't know, because it's more than just the game, isn't it? More than just it's Matt said way up the chat, it's the world and the models.
The whole history of 40k and the models themselves, I think, are possibly a bigger selling point than the actual game's rules are.
Mark says his view is that 40k is loved despite its rules. I think that's true. But it's interesting because I guess it still gets new people. It still brings in new people. I feel like maybe it's an age thing. I just look at it and just think, I haven't got time for that. But maybe when you're 12, a teenager, when you've got, if my son got into it, plenty of time to work out how it all worked, because it sits on his arse all day.
Back in the day when we were all kids and we were all, when we were first dipping our toes in Games Workshop games, it was like the more stats, the better. There was just so much stuff and tables, loads of lookups and tables and rules, because this is how you have fun. And then you get older, you're like, I ain't got time for that shit. Can I just roll dice and then on 5 I win?
Yeah. I don't really have time for all the stories and stuff either. I just don't have time.
Some of the 40k stories are, a lot of them are quite abysmal when it comes to the actual writing of them. I like the history that's built up around it all, but when they sometimes get into the very detailed sort of text of some of the stories, they're absolutely atrocious.
Yeah. The likelihood of it dying off is small. It's the only game they can really use the minis for. But what's that in reference to? I wasn't suggesting the 40k would die. I just wondered whether they would, to change it, their fan base is resistant to change. So will they ever change it? I don't know.
Dead Hand says he hasn't played 40k in way too many years, but this new kill team has him peeking back over the fence. I think for a lot of people, like Dead Hands, like myself, who used to play 40k many years ago and have just not had the time since, are looking at this and thinking, oh, that actually looks like quite a nice streamlined little game. That might actually, give me that 40k fix that I'm interested in.
Well, that's what I hope so. Yeah.
And like Jason's pointed out, a lot of people, they already have the models, so they might as well use them.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to look into Dead Zone though, because that's two of you have given that a thumbs up, so I might look into that. Then probably haven't got time to play it, but I'm going to look into it anyway.
Who's Dead Zone by?
It's Mantic.
Oh, okay.
Mantic. So we get some kill scene back, right? Maybe we can contact them and say, "Oh, you fancy sending us a star set?"
We still have the other thing.
Control.
We still have that other thing that we got sent. The was it from Steamforged or somebody else with the big Walker unit things?
Oh, BattleTech. Yeah, I've forgotten about that. Shit.
Still got that. we need to look at some point.
Shit. No, I'm off.
I really struggle with looking at any non-GW game because GW has been such a strong presence.
Yeah,
it has been.
Well, it's just
such a large part of my life. I find whenever I look at another company's offerings, I always think that looks like a rip-off of this from GW or that from GW, and it could just as easily be the other way round.
Yeah, I suppose. Yes, I don't know. I think it's also GW makes so much stuff all the time. It's hard to find the time. I mean, if I wanted to try and play another game during the Warbands coming out for Underworlds, it was almost impossible because they just were relentlessly releasing Warbands.
Yeah, it didn't help during that period of time where they were just, just trying to catch up with the next season, and they released everything in like a 6-month period. I mean, what is it? We're in July now, but I mean they started in December and they were done by sort of June. So
yeah, it was very fast.
Ed says that he thinks Infinity really is the one that really grabs him these days when he sees a board set up.
I've never seen it played. I've seen the models. The models are quite cool, but I've never seen it played. Again, it's a rabbit hole that I can't go down.
Yeah, and I think in some ways there is a little bit of us that has to sit there and go, what stuff could we play that will maybe get some interest online? And a lot of these games just don't exist online, but you look up 40k in GW and stuff like that, and it's like,
yeah,
I mean that's.
But then it's hard as bigger crowd to get into. But yeah, it's we will see. Funny enough, there's a neat segue into next week's Tuesday Night Live conversation, because if you haven't filled it in yet, Pete and I have Pete has created a little questionnaire about what you'd like to see on the channel and where we might go in the forthcoming weeks and months. So if you'd like to have a look, is it on our Facebook page, Pete?
I mean, it will be on the Facebook page. Yeah, we put it on Twitter, we put it on Facebook. It was all over the place.
Have a look on our Facebook page and ask the question. I don't think it'll take that long to do, just so we can get a little gauge of where we're going. And then next week we're going to share the results with you. I think a lot of you said that we're lovely, so that's great. So we're just going to talk about how lovely we are. No, but we will talk about where we might go, what games we might play, and the future of Ages of Sigmar.
Is that your hurrah pose?
There was a
Ages of Sigmar. Hurrah!
It's a flag running around here.
Yeah. So I mean that's definitely, I think, with the studio now almost up to speed, and we will be spending this week putting the last of the furniture together so we can get that all up and running. There's a rug and everything that's going to be in there with the AOS logo. Once we've got that set up and running, it kind of feels like we're a much more serious outfit in some respects. So it's like, what do we now do with that?
We have to start wearing serious outfits.
I think we'll have to draw the line at that. Although we do already have T-shirts with our logos on, so
New T-shirts with our faces on.
Nobody wants that. Nobody.
Maybe we should get the ones we use as the icons in Discord. Maybe we should get T-shirts with those on them.
I thought we did. Well, we got the flaming version, didn't we?
Sorry?
We got the flaming logo version of them, didn't we?
Yeah, but they're just the one, not the icons of our faces.
Oh, I see.
Should get those pictures blown up. Sell those. Yeah. I'm sure they'd sell in their millions.
That's how we'll make our money. Not from battle reports, just pictures of our faces on things.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with all of this, and it's a problem I have not with t-shirts with our faces on, but the game, Kill Team in general, just going back to looking at the models, the only problem I have with it is just the sheer level of detail in these things. I mean, I'm never going to be able to paint these fucking things anywhere near.
Are we back on the Kill Team models now?
It was just something that just occurred to me when I was just quickly looking at some of the models. It's just the detail level on them. I mean, one of the orcs has a bloody
Axe?
no,
Sorry.
no, a flipping penknife.
Right, man. No, sorry, I
like
keep
that.
interrupting you. Sorry.
It's like the penknife that's on him. It's like, how am I ever gonna paint that? It's just never gonna happen. Never in a million years.
Paint an orc's penknife. Is that a euphemism? Oh,
So there we
Pete's
go.
time for Pete to go to bed.
It is, I'm knackered.
I've just seen him yawning. I think I'm a few seconds behind him. I've just seen him yawning. It's time for bed. It is actually nearly 11 o'clock. So we could wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next week we're going to talk about us, because, you know, what else did talk about? Probably we'll break in any... I cracks the shit out of it. Probably we will talk about any new Kill Team developments. Anything else happens in the Warhammer universe in the next 7 days.
Yeah, I think
thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in.
Yes, it's been really good to talk about something not underworlds for a change, and not have to worry about all the complexities and intricacies and unknown combinations that we haven't thought of yet, which kind of feels like we're kind of expected to bring to the table now, given our knowledge of it. It's nice to just talk about something that we know very little about, and just come up with our own stuff.
Anybody who watches the channel regularly knows that we don't come up with anything like that.
That's true. That is very true. So yeah, do give us a shout in the comments below if you're watching this after the time. What kind of stuff do you want to see us talking about in the future? We'll be coming back next week, as Robin said already, with Kill Team, any new stuff that's going on in general, and a general update on our channel feedback stuff, and that's pretty much it for now.
Brilliant. General update. He might have to be my Kill Team kind of leader.
So stay safe, everyone out there, in this supposedly non-lockdown world, which just seems to be getting crazier as the days go past.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye, everyone. Stay safe.
Bye.